They are at it again, trying to smear people like me in an effort to get us banned, and that's the game they play, and it works. Cornell study, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro infect people with alt-right beliefs. And for whatever reason, I'm included in this, and I think it's so absurd. While I will say, in this study, they have said Lil ol Tim Pool is an intellectual dark web member. I appreciate you thinking that highly of me, but I am a high school dropout and I am not an academic. So no, I reject that association. But it does show that they think very highly of me, I guess. No, I am not on par in terms of education with Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris. Thank you very much. I'm a random dude on the internet talking about his feelings who happens to have very moderate politics and am addressing cultural politics. This study is so ridiculously flawed. It is fake news masquerading as research, and I can actually prove it to you very, very simply. We'll read this, but I do have the actual study, and they make several claims. Claims of which I can move one piece of what they've done and show everything they're claiming is built on a false premise. While I certainly respect there's an attempt to address the issue from an academic standpoint, because Data and Society if you're not familiar, Data and Society did this big hit piece on me and other people, which had no research, I can respect this. They're wrong. First, they don't know anything about YouTube culture and the YouTube community. They assume simply because someone comments on the intellectual dark web and then later comments on an alt-right video, it means they've been radicalized. Not understanding that people make videos about similar subject matters that omit ideology in the first place. Simply because someone comments more on an alt-right video doesn't mean they've been radicalized. It simply means they may be more active on YouTube. It says nothing about what they believe or don't believe. In fact, many alt-right channels might talk about Star Wars. I'm not exaggerating. They do. Is someone commenting on a Star Wars video being assumed by this study that they've adopted alt-right beliefs? It may simply be that the alt-right makes many videos. But more importantly, I can tear this whole thing apart right now with one simple point. A couple, actually. The first thing I'll do is show you that this study assumes Sargon of Akkad is intellectual dark web, but the Thinkery is alt-light. Because apparently they don't know it's the exact same person and basically the same content. Sargon of Akkad's opinions don't change simply because he has a second channel. And therein lies the big problem. But it actually gets worse than that. First, the insinuation that I'm anything to do with the intellectual dark web, I reject for a lot of reasons. Though I certainly understand what they're trying to go for, it is dramatically, it makes no sense. It really doesn't. Let's just be honest. But here's the thing. In a bigger list of their channels, they include News to Share. Right here. News to Share as alt-light. Okay. Here's what they've done in my opinion. By putting the Thinkery here, by putting News to Share here, and certainly some of these you could say are alt-light, putting Blaze TV in the alt-light, they have built a false premise of radicalization. They can then take intellectual dark web channels and then say, who do they connect to? Well, Sargon connects to the Thinkery. Ooh, claim the Thinkery is alt-light. And there's the game. They aligned everything about this is fake. You know what, man? It is so damn annoying to see this fake news, this fake game. And you know what the problem is? People like me are unwilling to use this underhanded, deceitful tactic to try and make the claim that I'm right or wrong. I won't do it. I will just tell you why they're wrong. I won't do anything underhanded or deceitful to win the ideological war. And that's why I think those that truly believe in freedom, liberty, free speech, etc., are going to lose out. So here's what he does. He says, look, we can see that people will move from the alt-light, from the intellectual dark web to the alt-right. That's the claim, right? We can prove it. Here's what they do. People who commented on Sargon of Akkad then went on to comment on the Thinkery. Oh my. And then they went on to comment on something like, I don't know, Black Pigeon Speaks. Black Pigeon Speaks, as far as I understand, is not alt-right. I believe Black Pigeon Speaks is like mainstream conservative. But by aligning the channels based on their own personal bias, they can claim there is a path to radicalization. Noting, the control group is left-wing mainstream channels. How is that a control? Well, let's read. Actually, I got to stop here because I'm going to rant on this one for a while. Go in the description, there's a link to Timcast IRL. It is a separate channel on purpose because the attacks are relentless. They're trying to destroy channels like mine. They don't want me talking about moderate milquetoast opinions, apparently. They don't want independent creators talking politics, period. Subscribe to this channel. It's going to be on the ground and it's going to be very apolitical. I mean, it'll be political in news reporting, but I'm going to be going on the ground and talking to people about news issues, and we're going to avoid all of the centralized nonsense. It's just going to be me doing my thing, and it's going to be very much just behind the scenes stuff. So subscribe to this channel. The link is in the description below. It's also kind of a backup channel because these attacks are getting relentless, and 2020 is coming, and I am worried. I really am. But I will not be one of these people caught off guard and having all of their channels deleted. I am putting, diversifying my portfolio, as it were. So subscribe. Now, there's no guarantee YouTube could just wipe all of us out and delete every channel I'm associated with. I kind of think that's not the case because I am creating a strong delineation between various channels. But let's pop back over to this study and read. They say controls. We collect popular media channels as controls. These were obtained from the MediaBiasFactCheck.com. For each media source of the categories on the website, left, left center, center, right, right center, right, we search for its name on YouTube and consider if there is a match in the first page of results. Some of the channels were not considered because they had too many videos, 15,000 plus, and we were not able to retrieve them at all. Okay, so it doesn't actually explain how the control channels have anything to do with any of these channels. More importantly, it actually appears to show that people who watch intellectual dark web channels have the exact same response to the alt-right as the control channels. Why then do they make this, how do they make this claim of radicalization? What they're saying is that some people may find the alt-right, and then many people in the alt-right find the alt-right. But again, whole thing falls apart when you realize Styx Hexenhammer is not alt-right. That literally makes no sense. You find the Thinkery is literally Sargon in the other category. They have made fake categories to draw a fake line. They can show the data where it's like, John Doe 1 commented on Sargon, then a month later commented on the Thinkery, and then a month later commented on Black Pigeon Speaks. There you can see that path, see? Because they've defined what is intellectual dark web, alt-right, or alt-right. In fact, let me take a look at how they define intellectual dark web. They say, the IDW is a term coined by Eric Ross Weinstein to refer to a particular group of academics and podcast hosts, I guess. The neologism was later popularized by the New York Times. They say it's a collection of iconoclastic thinkers, academic renegades, and media personalities who are having a rolling conversation about all sorts of subjects. What? What? Touching on controversial issues such as abortion, biological differences between men and women, identity politics, religion, immigration. You mean the intellectual dark web is literally people talking politics? This is what they're trying to do to get my channel deleted. Tim Pool dares to talk about Nancy Pelosi? Are you kidding me? Come on, man. They say, the group described in the New York Times includes Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, Joe Rogan, and also mentions a website with an unofficial list of members, of which I am not included. Members of the so-called IDW have been accused of bigotry, Islamophobia, transphobia, and sexism. Moreover, a recent report by Data Society, a research institute, has claimed these channels are a pathway to radicalization. They would act as an entry point to more radical channels. It's actually not true. The data we've actually looked at shows the inverse response, and that was in the New York Times fake story. So it was fake, whatever. They say, such as those in the alt-right. Broadly, members of this loosely defined movement see these critics as a consequence of discussing controversial subjects, and largely dismissed the report. Why? Because there was no data and it was fake. It lied and claimed I did work with people I've never met before. This is the dirty game they play. Similarly to what happens between alt-right and alt-light, there's also blurry lines between the IDW and the alt-light, especially for non-core members like those listed in the website. Here again, we take a conservative approach, considering borderline cases to belong to the alt-light. Well, I've already shown you that they've labeled News to Share, which is Ford Fischer, who is like he gets tweeted out by Kathy Griffin. Okay, you want to make a claim that he's alt-light, you've lost the plot and your data is trash. And they do. They show it right here, alt-light channels, and there's news to share. I'm pretty sure Kathy Griffin, she blocked me, is not sharing alt-light content. Now, they do have, interestingly, Timcast listed as an IDW channel, but not Tim Pool, nor Subverse. They don't actually know what they're talking about. Alt-light they define as like civic nationalist. So The Blaze, the Daily Caller, that's mainstream politics. That's Tucker Carlson, the Daily Caller. So I can show you that the path they've drawn is real, but only because they've chosen arbitrary definitions of what these groups really are, which makes no sense. I could say something like people who eat vanilla ice cream are being radicalized into eating, horse waste. And I can just draw a path because people who eat chocolate ice cream, some of them eat horse waste, and therefore it proves vanilla chocolate horse waste. It makes no sense. Makes literally no sense. The other thing that I want to point out, however, is that they don't understand the concept of, for one, argument in the political sphere. But the more important point here is that people comment on subject matter. That's it. It doesn't mean you are pro-nationalism or against nationalism. I am not a nationalist. I should say I probably lean more towards it, but I'm very much in the middle. My opinion has always been we will move more towards internationalism, and international relations is a good thing, but I believe we can have legal border entry. And so it's a very milquetoast opinion in the middle. Exactly. I'm probably less of a nationalist than the IDW. Here's the thing. Let's say I make a video and I call it something like Trump talks about immigration. And I make a point where I say Trump is going too far or whatever, but I understand the policy and the Democrats aren't doing a good job countering that, which is like a typical opinion of mine. Like, okay, Trump wants to build a wall, maybe a big, beautiful border barrier 30 feet high makes no sense. Where are the Democrats and what's their argument? I don't really put forth much. So somebody comments, and they comment, build the wall in all caps. They then get recommended a video titled, build the wall, and they comment the same thing, build the wall. The point is, what they've really found is there is a subject matter branch. That's it. Their path to radicalization makes no sense because they've arbitrarily drawn those lines. And just because someone comments on Black Pigeon Speaks videos about Star Wars doesn't mean they're for or against the alt-right or being radicalized. In fact, he points out many of the comments are not critical. They're not negative. They're positive, he says. Okay. Well, what if they're not even talking about the video? You know what I've found? I used to actually reply to a lot more comments. I don't anymore. It's because most of the comments, most of the comments have nothing to do with the video, nothing to do with my opinions. They have to do with the title of the video. So if I made a video called Immigration, you'll see a bunch of comments about immigration that don't talk about what I said. Certainly many people do address the things I say. I get it. But a lot of comments don't. You know what that means? Trying to track whether or not someone is being radicalized based on a comment means literally nothing, especially when the groups are drawn arbitrarily. But I will show this story and show their final point. They say, hilariously, the study failed to categorize these outlets in any rational manner since Kristol is hardly in the same category as Shapiro, and the Heritage Foundation is a more mainstream conservative organization. They go on to say, the IDW was more likely to lightly infect users than the control channels were, but the study admitted those that only watched IDW content were just as safe as those who watched the control channels. You know what that means? It means someone who believes in nationalism might actually engage in content with white nationalists. It doesn't mean they agree with an ethnostate. It means they talk about nationalism. Why? Because the alt-right is equally likely to talk about strong borders as the alt-light. They share an opinion on borders. But guess what? So does Bernie Sanders. You know what, man? I'm going to end here to keep these videos short. It's another smear. It's more fake news. And it is just so damn annoying. I got a couple more videos coming up. Stick around. I will see you shortly.